Greetings, everybody. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Michael. I'm going to be going through a Power Web training today for carriers. So today we're going to learn as a carrier how we're going to post those trucks and make them available to everybody to see, and also how to search loads and make sure you know how to find all the best loads out there to call on. So those are the things we're going to cover mostly today. But I also want to start right off on the front screen here on our landing page, because I really like to show you guys that feedback from you matters. We don't design Power Web anymore without getting your feedback. It's your suggestions, the things that you want to see. That's what we're implementing into Power Web at this point. So you'll see that down in the lower left-hand corner here, you have an option to provide feedback, and you see other people have already provided feedback. At any point, if you're working with DAT Power and you think, gosh, I sure wish it did this, or it would be nice if it had a feature like this, don't hesitate to come into this screen and click on the feedback button and let us know exactly what that feedback is. You can either vote on someone else's, or you can suggest your own and let other people vote on it. But the more we get on a particular issue, the more likely we are to implement that. So the more feedback we get, the better off everybody is. So please provide that as you come up with it. I'd also like to show you on this front page here, the little question mark in the upper right-hand corner. You will have access to our Help Center through here. And our Help Center is very valuable in that it has a lot of training information. So, for instance, training videos that we have, if you want to, quick, down and dirty how to train a carrier or how to train one of your new employees on how to post a truck. We have videos on how to do that. And they're really short 2 to 4 minute videos, and they can actually give you quite a bit of information. So if you're interested in learning more about Power Web after this, you can also check out some of the videos that we have or our training manual. So that is a resource available to you. And I also want to let you guys know right off the bat here that training with DAT is absolutely free. We encourage it. We want you guys to get the most out of it. And we feel like the better training we can provide, the more training we can provide, the better off you'll be. So whether it's one person in your office or 100 people in your office, if you would like us to provide training, we will do that for you at no charge. Just give us a call, let us know how many people and when, and we'll make it happen for you. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into exactly how you're going to post and search here with Power Web. Now, take into account that you may not have the 4 tabs that I'm seeing at the top. I'm listed as a broker carrier, so I'm going to have that ability to post loads as well. So if you're not seeing this button, and it's simply because you don't have broker authority to post loads in the first place. If you find that to be a mistake, let us know. If you do have broker authority and you want to be able to post loads as well, let us know, and we can work with you and get that figured out. But most of you in this session, you're going to be seeing 3 options: the ability to search for trucks, so seeing who your competitors are out there; the ability to advertise your trucks that you have available right now or in the future; and the ability to search for loads for those empty trucks that you have. So we're going to get started on the post trucks part. And when you come to this screen, you're going to see 2 different sections. The first section is going to show you it's going to show you your postings, what you have available or what you've had available in the past that you've kept around. Those postings are going to show up at the very top of your screen. And the bottom half of your screen is dedicated to the matches that come in on each one of those postings. So it's important to realize that every time you put a posting in our database, we are automatically starting to search for loads that match your posting for you. There's no extra clicks you need to do, nothing special. Just as soon as you put that posting in, we're going to start looking for you. So, but to get a posting in, you're going to have to click on this new truck post button. And when you do that, you're going to have a form to fill out, not unlike any other form you filled out with any other freight matching service you've used of ours before. So what you're doing here is telling everybody out there, all the brokers and shippers, that this is my truck, this is where it's at, these are the dimensions, and I'm available for you. So the very first field is, what date is this available? And on this one, I'm going to indicate that it's available today, the 7th. So I'll go ahead and select the 7th. If I wanted to select a range, I could hold my shift button down and select a whole range of days. But like I said, I'm going to post this one as available on the 7th. And that's going to take me to my next field, which is origin. Now, you can do a couple different things here. You can either put in a zip code, where it will show you exactly the cities that are in that zip code you type out, or you can just type a city, or start typing a city, comma, state. So for instance, if I had a truck available in Chicago, Illinois right now, I start typing Chicago, I'm going to see Chicago, Illinois on my drop-down list. For a destination, this is something that we really need to talk about with carriers, because so often carriers will put we'll leave this empty, indicating that they're willing to go anywhere. But what we find, and what most brokers and shippers find when they call people that are willing to go anywhere, is that anywhere really does not mean anywhere. So, and that is one of our biggest broker complaints we get. They'll call on a truck that's available going anywhere just to find out that it's not going where they want it to go. So, so we strongly encourage you to put a destination in this field. Now, you don't have to list a city. You can list either a city, a state, or you can list our zones, or you can list a combination of states and zones. So if you're not familiar with what zones are, we do have a resource available to you under our toolbox called a zone map. And when you click on that zone map, it's going to show you, oh, I think I clicked on the wrong one second. So when you click on that zone map, it's going to show you exactly what states make up what zones. So for instance, I can see zone 9 is going to be Washington, Oregon, and California, and even throws Alaska in there. So you can post a combination of states and zones. So maybe I'm willing to go to anywhere on the West Coast, but also Nevada. So I could put Z9 NV for Nevada. So going back and using that philosophy, I would put Z9 and NV. It's going to know that any broker looking at this is going to know that, okay, they're willing to go to Nevada or any of those western states. And that is going to be way more practical for a broker or shipper that's looking at your posting. There's not going to be any question of does anywhere really mean anywhere? They're going to know exactly where you're willing to go. So we do strongly recommend that. And the other thing that you'll want to know about this is if you don't put a destination in, you're not going to be an exact match to a broker who posted their load from an origin to a destination. So by not putting it in there, you're not going to trigger their alarm match and say, hey, there's a carrier over here that has a truck available. You have to put a destination in the field for that to work. So you would be doing yourself a big disservice at this point if you leave this field empty. So I do encourage you to list at least a combination of states and zones to indicate where you are going, where you like to go. For equipment type, this is not unlike any other equipment type we've had in the past, any equipment type list. You'll see the same sort of equipment in there. If I want a flatbed, I can start typing the word flatbed in, and you can see it brings it to the top of the list. I can indicate whether this is a full or partial, and I'm going to indicate full on this one. And then I can also put the dimensions. I can indicate that it is a 48-footer with a 45,000 pound capacity. Now, one thing I need to pause on here is if you've used our services in the past, you're used to putting in just 2 digits like I did here, and that would indicate 45,000 pounds. However, in the new system, based on feedback we got from customers, we have implemented the hundreds of pounds. So you can actually get down to the pound now. So if this is a 45,201 pound load or capacity, I could actually get to that level of detail now. For those of you who are used to the 2 digits and want to continue using 45, well, all we ask is you put a K on the end of it, and we'll put the zeros on there for you when you do that. If you don't remember that, though, you will also see a warning. It's going to tell you that if you try to put a 2-digit in there, it's going to say, hey, it's a little bit low. If you post this right now, it's going to say that your capacity is 45 pounds. So unless you're hauling a load of styrofoam, that's probably not going to get you many hits. So do make sure that you're putting a 5-digit weight in here. Reference ID is not commonly used by carriers, mostly by shippers or brokers who assign reference numbers to their shipments. Most carriers that I've talked to in the past don't assign reference numbers to their trucks or trailers. So if you do, by all means, you can fill this out. If not, then move on to the contact method, and that's going to be how you want these brokers and shippers to call you, whether it's a primary number, an alternate number, or an email address. Whatever you select there is what they're going to see on the posting when they're viewing it. And you also have a couple comment lines to say something on this posting that you really couldn't say anywhere else on it. Maybe it's a 102-inch wide trailer, and you want to indicate that. You can put 102-inch wide. Or maybe you want them to call a specific extension when they call in. So talk to Betty at extension 867. And now they'll know, when they call that your primary number, they're going to hit extension 867 and get right to Betty. So Your posting form is filled out now. It's completely filled out, and the carriers or brokers would know exactly what this truck is, type it is, and where it's going, where it is right now. They're going to know all these details when you post it. But before you post it, you may want to turn your audible alarm on. Now remember, every posting you put in here is going to automatically start looking for search results for you. Now, those search results will show up down at the bottom, and you'll visually be able to see them come in. But if you want to have an audible alert go off every time that happens, you can click this little bell and turn it orange. Now, every time a match comes into the Chicago, Illinois truck posting, it's going to ring you wherever you are in the office. You're going to hear this go off, and you'll know that, hey, a new load just got posted. I better go look at it. I will caution you on this, though, because if you have a lot of truck postings in some heavy lanes, your alarm will constantly go off, and you may want to turn it off afterwards, and I'll show you how to do that. For right now, we're going to have that thing activated, and we're going to post this truck. And you will see as soon as we do that, our truck posting is now in the system, and you can see the status of it is posted. When you see that it's posted, you know that it's in our database right now, and that anybody searching for trucks out of Chicago, Illinois, going to these areas are going to see your posting on the list. And they'll also see all the details, the 102-inch wide, the Talk to Betty, all the details that you put in, they will be able to see on their side. So that takes me to the next part of this, and that is, well, now that I have postings in there, what can I do with these postings? How do I manage these postings? And the first thing that you can see is that you can collapse and expand any posting in here. We do that so you can free up some room. You can see that this posting is expanded to show me all these details, but I'm not seeing those details on this posting. It's because this one's expanded and this one is not. If I collapse this by clicking on it, you can see I'm not seeing all those details anymore, but it did free up some more room for me. If I click on Brooklyn, New York, I can see any of the details on that particular posting now by going in there. So another thing that I can do in here is I can copy or edit or delete any of these postings right from this screen. So for instance, if I had another posting that was a lot like this one, maybe it was Brooklyn, New York, but this one wasn't going to New York, maybe this one was going to Arkansas. I can copy this posting just like that and type in AR for my new destination for Arkansas and post it. And now I have a brand new posting in there with all the same details except for the destination is updated to Arkansas. Or maybe I messed up and Arkansas wasn't the place it was supposed to go. Maybe it was supposed to be Louisiana. Oh, well, I can easily go in there and edit it and change my Arkansas to Louisiana. So I change AR and I go over and just choose LA instead, save it, and now my posting reflects Brooklyn, New York to Louisiana. And I can also delete my posting. So if I no longer have this available and I want to get it off my screen, just by clicking delete, the posting will be taken off the load board and taken off your screen as well. So that is some of the functions you could do with your postings once you have them in there. But there's some other ones too. And I want to start off on the left-hand side and show you what all these features are here. So the first thing you see is that these postings that are all these postings that are posted, they're visible. All these postings that are unposted, they're not. They're on my screen, but nobody can see them right now because they're not posted. So the ones that are posted, you're going to see that the alert is on. And what that means is every time a new load comes in and matches your truck, it's going to show up at the bottom of your screen. And if you see the word new appear here, that's because a new match has arrived. That's your visual indicator that a new match has arrived. The next one over is your audible indicator. So I do have an audible alert on this one, but I don't have an audible alert on the others. If I want to enable that, I simply click on the bell, and now I'm hearing the alarm on both of these postings. If I don't want to hear that alarm, I simply uncheck the orange bell, and now I will only get the visual alert that the new match is in, no audible alert. The next field over is your keep field, and this little star is really patterned after the star you see in your browser, your favorite, and that's exactly what we mean by it too. If this is a favorite posting of yours, maybe this is a truck that you have available twice a month and you don't want to have to come in here and do all the details every time. Well, you can simply click the little bar, the little star there, and it's going to keep this a posting around indefinitely now. So a month from now, if you want to repost it, it's going to still be on your screen, so you can quickly put it back in the database without having to fill out Chicago, Nevada, Zone 9, flatbed, and all the details of it. So consider the star like a favorite or a template to use. The next thing you'll see is the ability to refresh your postings. So as you can see, some of these postings, like this one in particular, this Brooklyn, New York to New York, it's been in the database for 38 minutes now. And we allow you with DAT Power to refresh your posting every 15 minutes. And what that means, a refreshed posting looks brand spanking new to anybody out there searching for it. They'll see that it was just put in the database now instead of, in this case, 38 minutes ago. So if I wanted to, for this one, if I wanted to refresh it and make it look brand new, I simply hover over and you can see the button turns to a refresh button, and when I click it, this posting has a timestamp of 0 minutes now. Now I have another posting in there that's been in there for 5 minutes, but we do have a 15-minute threshold. So we don't allow you to refresh your posting until it's been in our database for at least 15 minutes. So in this case, if I try to refresh this particular posting, you can see when I hover over it, it actually says refresh in 10 minutes. So if I click on that button, you're going to see it start counting backwards now. And once that 15 minutes has come and gone, your posting will be 0 minutes old again. You don't have to wait 15 minutes to refresh it. You can queue it up to be refreshed at any time. This one that's 0 minutes old right now, if I queue it up to be refreshed, it's going to refresh itself automatically in 15 minutes. Now, I don't want you guys thinking that you have to refresh your postings every 15 minutes. It's not the case. We give you the ability to do that, but you don't have to sit here and refresh your postings every 15 minutes. When people are searching with our products, they can only search an hour back and no less. So until your posting is 61 minutes old, it's always going to be seen by someone doing a search. It's after it gets an hour old or even 2 hours old when people stop seeing it because they're not including it in their search details. So that's really when you want to make sure that your posting gets refreshed. After an hour or so in the database, you definitely want to make sure that you refresh it and make it look brand new again. Now another option you have is the ability to roll a posting over. And rolling a posting over is saying that I've got to go home tonight, this truck is still available, I want to advertise it available tomorrow too, and I don't want to have to repost this when I come in. So before you go home with any trucks that you still have available, simply click the rollover button and you can see that it changes the date to 1/8, and now it'll actually, when I come in tomorrow morning, people will see that it's available the 8th and not the 7th anymore, but you won't have to put any more details in. It'll automatically roll over now. And something that just popped up, you can see that it says new over here. That means I got a new match. So if I click on this particular posting, I will now, at the bottom of my screen, be able to see all the matches that came in regards to this particular posting. These are all exact matches that you're looking at to the particular posting that we have up here, Chicago to Nevada and Zone 9. Every one of these will meet the criteria that we entered up here. And it's going to keep on doing this search all day long until midnight tonight. You're going to see new results popping in. Another thing that I wanted to point out to you guys that you can do is you can manipulate multiple postings at one time. You'll see that I have 3 postings right here that are unposted right now. But let's say that I wanted to take these 2 postings right here and repost them to make them visible to other DAT customers. I can check the little boxes in front of them and come to my drop down up here, and I can hit refresh. And when I do that, you're going to see both of these postings have flipped over and are now in a posted status. They are visible for people to see right now if they're doing searches. So that's an easy way right there of manipulating more than one posting at a time. I can roll over all my postings at one time, or I can refresh them all, or I can delete or cancel them all at one time by using my checkboxes over here. Now, the last thing that I wanted to show you on this particular piece right here is the fact that you really need to manage your postings well. And what I mean by that is, if your truck is no longer available, get it out of the database, because if you don't, you're going to keep on getting calls from brokers and shippers that think you have an available truck. You're going to get tired of getting those wasted phone calls, and the people calling you are going to get sick of calling when they find out that it's not there anymore. So it's very, very crucial that if a truck gets covered, you take it out of the database. And it's as simple as just clicking on the posted button. And you can see when you do that, it'll change it to unposted and it's no longer in the database. So very important that you guys maintain your postings there, and you can just see the alarms are pouring in down here, getting new results every couple seconds. So very cool. One more thing I want to show you on this particular page down here is your results that come in default to 150-mile radius. You can change that radius at any time. And as soon as you put your new radius in, it'll recalculate your results. And now every result that comes in will be within a 200-mile radius, not just 150-mile radius. So there are ways to adjust the results that are coming in from this screen. Now, as far as the search results are concerned themselves, I will get to those, but I want to wait until we actually go to search loads and show you what the results look like from there. The last thing that I cover on this page is the filters that we have at the top here, and that's what all of these are. When you see buttons like this, they are filters, ways of filtering out things on your list that you might not want to see, or narrowing it down to just the ones that you do want to see. In this case, you can see group 6. I'm looking at 6 particular postings in my group. And what I mean by group is everybody in my office. So observing the owner field here, you can see that the owner of these 2 postings, that's me. My initials are MA. Somebody else in my office posted this one with the initials of SJ. And another person with YP posted this one. And what I can do is I can click on the group there and narrow it down and just, maybe I just want to look at all the postings from YP, that person in my office. Now I'm just looking at that one posting. Or maybe I want to look at just my postings and not look at the group postings. I can click on mine, and it's just going to show me my 4 now, get rid of the other 2. So that's what this is all about. That's what you can do with the filters up here. But you can also filter out by posted or unposted, or maybe you just want to look at all your postings, the one that you kept around for future use. You filter all the other ones out, and I can see just my kept one with an orange star now. So that's the filters, and that's how they work there. Now, the next thing that I'll cover with you guys is actually the search load side of it. So I'm going to click on search loads up here, and we're going to do a search, and I'm going to show you how the results look and work. So when I come to the search screen, just like the posting screen, my searches will show up at the top part of it, and my results to those searches will show up at the bottom. So in this case, I'm going to fill out the form for exactly what I'm looking for. So maybe I'm looking for any kind of flatbed. So I pull up flatbeds, and maybe I'm looking, in this case, I'm looking at a Houston, Texas. I get my city, comma, state in there, and for a destination, maybe I don't care. Maybe I don't care where we go. I'm just looking for a load, and I don't care where it goes because I'm willing to drive anywhere. Maybe I'm one of those guys that am willing to go anywhere. So destination, I'm going to leave it blank. For an available date, I got to list what date my truck is available so I can find loads for that date. So I'm going to say it's available on the 7th only. And for a deadhead to origin, that's what DHO is how far am I willing to deadhead to find a load? And I don't want to deadhead too far and waste a bunch of diesel, so maybe I'm just going to go 100 miles around Houston. I didn't put a destination, so I don't need to worry about my radius around my destination. Am I looking for full loads, partial loads, or maybe I don't care and I'm looking for both? In this case, I do care, and I want to find some full loads. And maybe I want to list the dimensions of my truck, too, to make sure I'm not getting a load that's too big. So I'll put it 48, maybe it has a 48,000-pound capacity. And in this case, I'll look 2 hours back in the database to see anything that's 2 hours old or younger. So I hit search at this point, and you're going to see that it did my search, and all of the results showed up automatically down at the bottom. Now, I'll bring this little window back up in a second, but let me go ahead and minimize it and get it off the screen so we can see more. What I'm seeing is my search that I did up here. I can, at any point, if I want to hear an audible alarm go off every time a new match comes in, I can set my alarm, just like I did on the posting side, to hear that noise every time, that alarm sound every single time a new match comes in. Again, I'm going to take that off for the purpose of this demo so we don't hear that alarm going off all the time. I can also, if I wanted to, I could use this to edit my search. So maybe I want to edit it, and maybe I do want to put a destination. Maybe I'm willing to go to zone 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Any one of those, the states in those zones. I simply edit, I click search again, and there I have a new list of results. I can also delete my search if I'm done with it, and it will completely remove it from my screen. At any point I want to reverse my search, you can simply click the little reverse arrows here, and it will swap the origin and destination for you. But let's talk about the results and the types of searches that we're running for you, because there are multiple searches, multiple search types running at one time on every one of your searches. And you can tell because there are 128 results you can see, 3 of which were blocked, which I'll get to in a second. And of those 128, 30 of them are exact matches, which means they exactly fit the criteria that I entered up here. Now, that is the results you're seeing are from a basic search. It's searching and showing you exactly what's in there and exactly what matches you. However, you also want to keep in mind that every search that you're doing is also active, which means it'll keep feeding you new postings every time they get put in our database. So there's two search types down. Now the last type of search type we're doing is what we call a smart search. And the purpose of a smart search is to really save you time. So if I scroll down a little bit, I'm going to notice that I get to a section that says similar matches. And in this case, there's 98 similar matches. And they are just that, folks. They're not exact matches, but they're pretty darn close. So you might ask yourself, why are we giving you pretty close results on this list? And the reason is we're trying to save you a little bit of time. We have visited quite a few offices and observed just how people use our services in the past. And one thing that we've observed with brokers and carriers alike is if they don't find what they're looking for the first time, they adjust their search to bring in more results. So for instance, if I wasn't happy with my 30 matches and I wanted more, I might come up here and edit that search and say, okay, let me look 6 hours back instead of 2 hours back. And I got more results. Maybe I didn't like those new ones that came in, so maybe I'm editing my search and going 100, maybe I'm willing to go 150 after all. I put in that and I get more results. So, but what you're doing here is having to edit, search, edit, search, edit, search over and over again until you get what you're looking for. The idea of a smart search is to give you what you're looking for without you having to go search over and over again. So if none of these matches really worked out for you, instead of having to edit them over and over again, look at your similar matches by clicking the little arrow in front of them. And what you're going to see as soon as you do that is another list of results. Now, we will highlight for you why it's not an exact match. So for instance, the very top one, you can see that the date is highlighted and so is the deadhead to origin. The date is highlighted because we did a search for the 7th up here. This is the result for the 8th. Our deadhead to origin was 150. This is 261 miles away. Down here, it's exactly a match except for the fact that it's available tomorrow instead of today. So you can see what we're doing here. We've already expanded this by date and by time and by radius. So by doing that, we're able to offer you a bunch of more results without you having to go edit and get them yourself. So before you go editing and getting more results, check out your similar matches because you may very well find what you're looking for on that list. If you don't want to see that list, it's as simple as clicking the little arrows again and it goes away. Okay. The next thing that I want to cover with you guys is a couple of the features we have that you can do with your matches. And that is we can use the refined search window here, and I'm going to bring it back up now. And when I do that, you see this little pane here, and what it's doing is it's allowing me to make a quick edit to this page or to this search without having to click the edit button and clicking search all over again. So for instance, if I wanted to search 2 hours back again, I just drag my slider down to 2 hours. Or if I want to blow my radius up to 200 miles, I just drag my slider out, and it's automatically recalculating the results every time I do this. If I wanted both, not just fulls and partials, but both, I click on both, and now it recalculated my list for me. I can include another date, for instance. Maybe I want to include the 8th now as well as the 7th. As soon as I do that, I get more results. So this is a great, easy way to edit your search without having to click edit, search, all over again. You just bring up this little window and make your change real quick. We also give you some filters, so the ability to filter out MC numbers that are over a certain number. So for instance, if I don't want to see any MC numbers over 500,000, I can just put in 500,000 here, and as soon as I leave this, it's going to give me only companies with an MC number of less than 5, which means that they've been in business for a while. And I know that a lot of people might not want to do business with someone who just started up, so this is a way to weed some of those newer folks out. And I have 2 more filters down here, and that is the ability to show only a particular name. Like I see a bunch of Landstar. Maybe I just want to see all Landstar's postings on this one. If I type in Landstar and leave and step out of that field, the only thing I'm left with is with companies that start with Landstar, Inway, Ranger, Ligon, all of their separate entities. So that's how you can use this refine your search filter. But if you don't want to use it or you want to get it off your screen, just hit the little caret by it and it will go away, create more room for you. Now the next thing we'll go over is the ability to prefer and block companies from your results. Now I'd love to take credit for this, but really it is the customers, it's you guys that gave us the idea to be able to not only block an office, but to prefer certain offices. It's not fair just to block people you don't like. What about preferring people that you do like? So we have both of those options available to us. When you click on a company name, you'll see the option to add to preferred or block this office. Maybe maybe I've done, and this is no offense to Trinity here, but maybe I've done business with Trinity in the past, and it didn't work out. Maybe I didn't get paid on time, or for some reason I don't want to see Trinity Logistics in Euless, Texas anymore. I can simply block this office. Now, this particular office will never show up on another search result I do. I blocked them for good. I can always reverse that by just clicking it again and unblocking them. I'm getting new results in. I can see it's forcing everything down. So I can always unblock them, and now they'll start showing up again. But if I don't want to see them, I simply block them, and they're done. We've had that sort of feature available for quite some time in our various products that we offer. But one that we don't have available in anything else, it's exclusive to DAT Power, is the ability to prefer companies. So for instance, you are probably noticing that some of the companies, at least UTI down here, had a heart next to them. If you were wondering why that was, it's because at some point I indicated that I preferred them. Maybe I've done business with UTI, they pay really good, they pay on time, they're not undercutting the rate. I mean, I just love doing business with UTI, so I prefer them. And maybe I can say the same thing about Dover Services here. Maybe I've done business with them, and it's like they're incredible. I'd love to haul loads for them again. Add to preferred. And what's going to happen now is you're going to have this giant list. I have 112 results right here, and I can go through each of them and look for my hearts. But what I can do at this point is I can click on my preferred filter, and it's going to take everything else off my screen and show me just of those results, just the ones that I have indicated preferred. This, folks, is the list you want to start with. Why not start with those companies that you love doing business with first? And then, if that doesn't pan out, then start with some of these other companies that you may not have done business with before. That is the whole idea of preferred. It was an idea straight from the customers. We implemented it, and we think it's one of the coolest features we have with Power Web there. So that is the preferred and the blocked. And how that works. And you can see from your total results here, 817, 48 blocked. I can always go to my blocked filter to see which companies were blocked. 48 different postings from these two companies where this company was blocked. So by looking at that, I can come in here and say, oh no, I like them. What? I shouldn't have blocked them. You can always unblock them, and now they will start showing up on your results again. When you come across a posting that has a line through it like this one does, it's because that particular company has removed that posting from the database. It's no longer available. And so instead of just removing it from your screen, we cross it out. And that is so as to not create confusion. Before, when we had it where we were just removing them, it would, customers might be looking at that one and all of a sudden it disappears, and that wasn't very intuitive. So what we do at this point is we cross them out, and the next time you visit the screen, they'll be gone, and it just indicates that they're no longer available. So we won't want you to call on those. Of course, you're just like posting any of these, you can expand to see more information. So in this particular case, I can show you that by clicking on this result here, I can see that they're a member of the TIA, that their load's assurable. I can even see it's a short haul, but I can even see the rate in here. $427 is what the going rate brokers are paying carriers right now to haul that. I can see, if I blow this one up, I can see the MC number. I can see any comments. In this case, I can tell it's lumber they're hauling. That's good to know as a carrier. I want to know what I'm hauling. TARP required. So all this information you're not going to see unless you expand that posting to see the information. So you should always expand it before you're calling on it. And lastly, if you wanted to, you can print this result out and have it for your records. Now, another thing with the results that I want to show you, and you can see I'm just getting result after result in. All these green bars are new results that are coming in, 8 so far. But the next thing I wanted to show you was the information, was the review information that you see here. So when you click on a company name, like I did here with Ryan's Transportation, I'm going to see if any reviews have been written on this particular company. And in this case, there's been 4 different reviews, and unfortunately, not as favorable as I'm sure they'd like. But this is good information for you to know. Absolutely worthwhile information for you to know. I have a tablet at home that I've let my kids use, and they've really installed so much garbage on it that it's really slow now. And so I went online in the App Store looking for something that would speed it up for me. And I came across an app that said just that, well, this will speed your tablet up. Before I downloaded that app, I saw that there were some reviews on it though. So I clicked on the reviews and looked at them. Every one of the reviews I looked at was a 1-star review, and every one of them said the same thing. Don't install this app. It has spyware on it. It'll slow your tablet down even more. And I thought, wow, that is really good to know. I had no idea. I wouldn't have known that without reading those reviews. I cared about what those other people in my same position thought of the application. You should think the same way. So when you're looking at a review, and unfortunately the posting I was looking at has been canceled, so let me pull up a different one. When you're looking at the reviews, you should want to know what other carriers have said about this particular broker. So in this case, I see one review, but it's a 5-star review. Let's go look at what was said. So when you click on that, it's going to take you directly to the review section, and it's going to show you the review that was left on them. They brokered a load for us, gave us good rate and easy to work with. We look forward to working with them again. Now, those are the kind of reviews that make you want to work with somebody. But if you came in here and saw a bunch of 1-star reviews and, it's broker never pays on time, or I get there and the load is something else, not what they told me it would be, those are kind of things that make you not want to deal with a broker. So if you see a bunch of reviews in there that are saying things like that, you may not want to use it. That is your discretion. We're giving you all the information we can, but it's really up to you to decide, well, do I want to use somebody who nobody else thought was good, or, hey, I totally want to use this person because everybody thought they were good. It's really up to you. We just want to make sure you have that information available so you can make the best decision possible. So before you ever do business with somebody that you haven't done business with before, you should always look at their reviews and see what was said about those particular brokers and shippers. Okay, one more thing I wanted to show you, and I'm going to take you back to the post truck screen to show it to you, but this posting form is got more than one function. So it doesn't just let you post, but you can also do mileage lookups and rate lookups just by simply going to your posting form. So in this case, if I go in here and I put an origin of let's leave Brooklyn, New York, and I put a destination of, which has to be a city, by the way. If I want to do a mileage lookup, it has to be from a city to a city. If I want to look at a rate on a lane, it has to be between a city and a city. So Brooklyn, New York, and in this case, let's say New Orleans, Louisiana. As soon as I put that information in, you can see that trip miles showed up right underneath it. So automatically I can see that this form is a mileage maker. I can easily get a point-to-point mileage search in there. I can tell 1,300 miles between the two cities. But what else popped up, and what's going to interest you guys even more, I think, is the broker spot rate and the best try haul. Clicking either one of these will take you to the exact same spot. So I'm going to click on the broker spot rate. And what you're going to see in there is that in this case, I'm looking at a flatbed rate based on in the last 60 days from Brooklyn expanded market to South Central. I can see that it's $1.64 a mile. That's what brokers have been paying carriers for this particular lane. What's really cool about this particular feature is if you also subscribe to our Rate View product, you can get this all the way down to see 7-day rates from a city to a city, which are even more accurate because they're based on what's been happening on the last week. But these are straight from broker bills, what they are paying carriers. We're getting those, they send us their contributions, and we have a database full of these rates, and that's what you're seeing here. Unless you subscribe to RateView, though, you won't see a 7-day city to city. You will see a 90-day average from an expanded market to an expanded market, and you won't be able to tell how many companies and reports generated that rate. It's still very, very useful information, though, to get an idea of what to expect, what brokers have been paying in the lane that you're looking in right now. And it also gives you, I mean, if a broker right now, looking at this lane, if a broker was saying, yeah, I'll pay you $1.25 a mile, you're going to say, no, I can tell that this lane is actually, brokers are paying upwards of $1.64. And this is going to help you, hopefully, give you some ammunition to get those rates a little higher for you, so you're not hauling for, just to pay diesel costs in some cases. So very useful tool, but even more useful is the tri-haul that we're showing down here. Now this we created specifically with carriers in mind, and it's us trying to show you how to make even more money. So in this case, well, I'm going to go back and do a different search real quick. And instead of Brooklyn, New York to Louisiana, I'm going to do a bigger lane, which would be like a Chicago to Dallas. So go to Chicago to Dallas, Texas. I can see that 928 miles, my broker spot, best tri-haul. If I click on that now, what I wanted to show you here is this one's down, since I subscribed to RateView, this one being a bigger lane, I got it down to 15 days from a market to a market. And what I'm showing you down here is where you might make $1.60 a mile if you want to go from Chicago to Dallas. If you drive from Chicago to Grand Rapids instead, we know that rates right now are $2.25 a mile. That's 65 cents more a mile if you were just willing to go to Michigan instead of Dallas. Or how about you go to Wisconsin and make $2.36 a mile, or Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and make $2.36 a mile. All these options we show you down here will be more money paid to you than the option that you originally put in. So you may have to go to Dallas, and that's fine. But if there was leeway and you could go somewhere else along the way, you see how this will work to get you more money. So at this point, if you were like, wow, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, paying $2.36 a mile, now I'm going to go back and do a search from Chicago to Cedar Rapids and start looking for loads going between those two cities and make even more. So really, really cool feature. Again, customer feedback, you guys providing feedback is what gives us these ideas and features to provide for you. Going back to my search load screen, I did want to cover two more features that we have to help you guys out. So if I come back and look at my search and expand it, I have a hot market map and a lane makers. So we're going to start by going over what hot market map is. When I click on that, you're going to see that the United States and Canada have been broken up into markets. So that's why the map looks like it does. It doesn't look like doesn't give you those state boundaries like you're used to seeing, but it does give you exact markets. For instance, if I click up in this little area right here, that's the Portland market, which also includes parts of Washington, because Vancouver is very close to Portland, and it's all really one market, regardless of a state line. But if you don't like looking at the market view, you can always go to the state view and get the same sort of information based on the entire state, though, instead of a market. Now, what does it get you? It shows you what states have lots of loads and what states have hardly any loads. And that is very useful for you as a carrier when someone is saying, hey, I got a load going to Texas. Well, if you were to come in here and look at that and click on Texas, you're going to see that there are 3 loads for every 1 truck. That's not as good as maybe Montana, where there are 60 loads for every 1 truck. So you know that right now, by going to Texas, you may have a hard time finding a flatbed load going out of Texas. You may have to deadhead into New Mexico or Louisiana or one of those hotter states, or you may have to accept a ridiculously low rate just to get out of Texas. Whereas if you went to Montana, if a broker was trying to send you to Montana, you know when you get to Montana that I'm going to find a load. You know, there's 60 flatbed loads for every 1 truck. Trucks are in demand. Not only will I find a load, but they're going to pay me more because, again, trucks are in demand. So you can look at what states are hot, what ones aren't. You can say, yeah, you want to send me to Texas? That's great, but I'm gonna ask you to pay a higher rate because I know when I get to Texas I'm gonna get stuck there and I don't want to lose any money. So it kind of gives you a bargaining chip is what it does. We also break it up by vans and reefers. So if you wanted to see what was hot for vans, there's your view of it, and reefers as well. And you can see, like, if I had a reefer and someone tried to send me to Washington or California right now or Florida, these states, especially Florida, where there's less than 1 load for every 1 truck, I'm going to be demanding a higher rate to go to those states. So there you go. That's how the hot market map works. and how it ties in with rates and what you're able to do with negotiating. The other tool I wanted to show you was Lane Makers, and when I click on that tool, it's going to take the criteria of my search, which was Houston, Texas to anywhere. But for Lane Makers, you do have to have a lane. And in this case, I haven't got a complete lane. I just have the origin. So I'm going to put in a destination, and in this case, I'll put in Denver, Colorado. When I do that and I hit search here, it's going to show me all of the brokers and shippers that have posted loads in the last 2 months going from Houston to Denver. And that can be very handy for me. Maybe I'm, as a carrier, maybe I'm stuck in Houston going to Denver 3 or 4 times a month. Well, I can look at this and see, well, you know, for instance, NFL Trucking, 37 times in the last 2 months, they posted a load available from Houston to Denver that they didn't have a carrier for. So maybe you could be that carrier for them. Maybe you can get on a contract with NFL Trucking because you're there at the same time as they are, and you can start hauling for them, and they don't have to worry about always having to find some carrier to haul that load that they have 37 times. They can contract you to do it, and you both get something out of it. So this is a great way of seeing who the brokers and shippers are in those lanes that you are working and how often they're posting. It's a great way of adding those companies to your Rolodex. Yeah, so you can, you know, contact them if you're stuck in Houston and you don't see any postings. Maybe you give UTI a call and say, hey, I'm in Houston right now. I'm not sure, but you guys tend to post in Houston, Texas, going to Denver a lot. I'm heading to Denver. Do you got anything available for me? And that's a great way, again, of adding these companies to the that are in the same lanes you are to your business model. So that is Lane Makers. So that is really it for my demonstration today. I want to leave you guys with remembering that we do have a help center at the top of your screen here. It has a lot of useful information, training videos, training manual, FAQs, and I also want to remind you folks that training is free here, and we really encourage it. So if you have 1 person, 10 people, 100 people, however many that you want to get trained on Power Web, you simply need to contact us and let us know the date and time, and we will contact you, and we can have a go-to-meeting sort of training like we're doing right now, and really tailor it to your office's needs. So I want to thank everybody that attended today. I appreciate it, and hopefully you guys all got something good out of it. I want everybody to have a great night and a good time. Thank you.